Today we're talking about how to play by tabs or notation versus playing by ear. This is very common that you are relying on one thing or another, but maybe we can even do both. So I'm going to give you my tips around this. He's going to give you his stories. And I even going to break it down a little bit how I am using back chaining as a technique for improving my learning from a piece of paper. Well, a lot of things to discuss in this episode. Here we go.
Hey there, music makers. I'm Hayes Griffin.
I'm Magnus Zetterlund.
And welcome to the Mandolin Secrets podcast, a show where we take a deeper look at what's happening in the world of mandolin secrets. Each episode will tackle our questions of the week, unpack the latest mandolin secrets lessons, and answer your questions about mandolin, guitar, and all things music. In this month's episode, we'll be discussing, do you mostly play by tab notation or by ear? And also, do you attend music camps? If so, which ones? And I believe Magnus has some special new lessons to share with us here, maybe related to classical music. Before we dive into any of that, though, be sure to head to mandolinsecrets.com/podcast to sign up for reminders about our upcoming episodes. Just search Mandolin Secrets Podcast on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to get updates when we release a new episode.
Thanks. And I also want to take the moment to actually let us know that, let the listeners know that we've been celebrating a 5-year anniversary inside Mandolin Secrets Academy. Yeah, I mean the membership has been going on for 5 years now. I can't actually believe how fast time flies, because it doesn't feel like. It was that long ago, actually.
It's crazy, Magnus. No joke, man. As soon as you said that, I had this distinct memory. I was sitting on my porch in Grand Rapids, Michigan. You know, I live in Columbus now. I moved back. So I was sitting on the porch of my house in Grand Rapids, Michigan, floating through Facebook, and I saw your feed come up, and I was like, oh, Magnus opened an academy online. That's pretty sweet. That dude's got a website now. I remember the exact moment that happened. Wow. I hit subscribe and follow and everything. I was like, I got to keep up with that, man. See what this guy gets up to.
Yeah, that's cool. And that is actually a year or 2 years before you got more involved in the Mandolin Secrets community and all that.
Exactly.
But even that has been going on for probably 4 years now.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yep.
Yeah. But yes, and just quickly, because I'm so I guess proud is the best word I can say for this. Because I asked some players in the community, can you mention one thing that Mandolin Secrets Academy has done for you? And we know what it's done for me and for Hayes and all that, but it was also so touching to hear about things. Patrick says, I truly taught me the neck, he says. It has expanded my knowledge more than I ever hoped. Elliot says, the fretboard doesn't intimidate me anymore. I love that.
That's great.
And Ian, this one is good. It made me some good friends.
Oh, yes, yeah. Of course. I mean, that's one of the main things that I came out with, right? Yeah, that's such a good community.
Karen also says, the Mandolin Secrets Academy membership has been wonderful. The community of missions are very helpful and friendly. I love the variety of music genres and all that. I'm not reading the entire comments here, but Dale says, just one ? Okay, it has started me playing Nordic musics, which I had long admired.
Yeah.
I like that. Margaret says, it helped me understanding chords, shapes, relationships on the fingerboard, as well as harmonies, things like that. I could go on, but also this is like a shout out for all the good people inside this community. I'm very grateful for every one of you.
Yeah, same, man. It's been such a great community to get plugged into, so I echo all of their sentiments.
Cool. So when we also ask the community, do you mostly play by tabs or notation or by ear? There is a phone ringing. I gotta turn that one off, and I should put this into do not disturb. Yes. I'm just throwing it to you, Hayes. How would you answer that question for yourself?
Yeah, I would answer it much differently today than I would at the beginning of my guitar playing career. That's for sure. But I would say when I first started getting, going on guitar and bluegrass guitar, it was pretty much all tabs. Like it was kind of like if I didn't have a piece of music, I would have had no idea how to even figure something out by ear. I had no framework for that. But this day, I've almost gone completely the opposite way. I rarely use tabs for my own personal kind of learning. I'll use sheet music and notation, say if I'm like reading at a jazz gig and like just want to catch the head without having to learn it. But mostly ear training these days. That's kind of where I am. I saw the value of that after graduate school and realized that if you make the upfront investment for ear training, that it was actually quicker for me to absorb and learn things by ear after I gained that skill set.
Yes, and I think I also been relying a lot from ear playing and learning that way, especially with my background in traditional folk music. We almost almost learn from ear, from records, from other players, from courses where we're coming to a sort of a camp or a class, and they don't even hand you any written music. You're supposed to listen, follow your best. Maybe you bring a little recorder. You can capture it and go home and study it. So, but also, I was fortunate to learn to read music at a young age. I started playing trumpet when I was 8 years old, and I don't think I learned that much from my young trumpet adventure. I played for 2 years or so, but the one thing that I'm really still very grateful for is I learned to read music. So then later on, when I picked up the guitar, and it was even then like learning from friends, and you were trading licks by ear and all that, but I wasn't intimidated by standard notation even.
Yeah.
And so most of my guitar friends from that age, they only relied on tabs. But the fact that I could even see a resistance against standard notation. It were more like a school kind of thing,
Absolutely, it's
and not something for an aspiring electric guitar player to pay attention to.
Exactly. Jimi Hendrix wasn't reading sheet music when he was on stage, man, right? Yeah.
No. But I'm glad that I at least don't have that resistance to it. And up until this day, I'm not a very fast reader because it's so seldom that I'm exposed to it, but I can do it, and it's serving me well in situations to another situation every now and then.
I can see that, especially with the broad genres that you play these days. You know what I mean?
Yes, and this autumn, actually, when I've been playing with an orchestra, and so my band Nordic, we had a chance to play with a string orchestra of 15 people. And we were including some Vivaldi pieces, some Bach pieces into the program. And honestly, the main reason why this is happening is because one of the guys in my band playing nyckelharpa, he has done an amazing job studying classical music, which is rare on his instrument.
Yes.
So he's one of the few people in this world, I would say, that can go up and play Vivaldi's Summer on this instrument. So, of course, the orchestra want to do some of that repertoire also playing with us. So that, of course, challenged me to actually study this music and all that. And so that actually made me also like preparing for those gigs. In 5 weeks, I decided to every day I'm going to read a little bit of music to, well, now I have a very good reason for practicing this a little bit. And well, I can't. I'm gotta show you also. It made me even, upgrade to the big screen iPad.
Ooh, look at it, dude! Yeah, any excuse for a new piece of tech, you know what I mean?
Yes. Good excuse. No, but I've been loading it with some music and reading. Was reading a little bit every day, and again, the things that you're returning to, you're doing on a daily basis, you automatically improves.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of, and I've been putting some different music into my reading practice sessions, but it also gave me a good reason to revisit some of the classical repertoire that I had been trying to learn for a long time. And I'm kind of now bridging a little bit into one thing that I want to talk about. Yeah. That is because I've studied, played, and memorized the first Cello Suite by Johann Sebastian Bach. And not only that, classic. I made a complete series of tutorials for it. So I'm not sure when we're actually releasing this podcast, but I think actually at least the first couple of lessons will be released at this point. So, and I think I've seen performance. It's pretty common, even though it's a cello piece, it's pretty common among mandolin players. And I've also seen some different tutorials, but I think like my touch to it is it's more like a crossover kind of. I'm not trying to make it like a true classical kind of thing. It's with a folk and bluegrass touch to it, as everything that we are.
Yeah,
doing.
Exactly. It'd be hard to not do that, right? With your background and experience.
Yes.
When you were making the tutorials, did because I know that you've got some different ways of thinking about learning classical repertoire, like even what we were talking about at the beginning of the discussion, right? Like reading sheet music is much different than learning by ear.
Yeah.
Was there any kind of like, what I want to say, negotiation of those two ways of thinking that you came up against when you were making this tutorial? Like, do you try to teach it the classical way where they should be reading the notes, or like how did that, go?
Well, one thing that I can say, a couple of different things, but for me, it's the end goal is to play it by heart. Because I don't feel like I own a piece of music until I can play it by heart, really.
Yeah.
But I guess a way to get there, because I mean, let's face it, it's very different from playing a fiddle tune by ear or a classical piece. So Bill Cheatham as an example, we got like the A part is 8 measures long, and there's like 8 notes in each measure, right? 8 times 8, it's 64 notes right there to remember before it repeats again. But even within the A part, dum 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 do ba di la bi di bi da bi dum dum da do bi da bi dum. Even there, it's basically almost like 32 notes to remember in one row.
Yeah,
and it's that this music is meant to be played by heart, be easy to remember. That's why it's structured that way. And I just counted, so this cello suite that I'm talking about is like 64 41 bars, and there's 16 notes in each bar. So it's a, I don't have a, but it's over 600 notes in a, without
656 to be exact.
656, and I'm not. There's not even a pause in this melody, you know. It's a continuous row, and it's never repeating.
Wow.
So of course it's a right there. If you want to like memorize the 640, you it's way different than learning a fiddle tune.
Yeah, I would say, man. Bach didn't even lift his quill from the paper when he was writing that one, man. You know, he's like
a quill also.
Yeah.
Yeah. you got a point. So where am I going with this? Well, so for me, the way that the way for me to memorize it is using this technique of back chaining, where I'm actually learning a fragment of the piece, and I'm actually starting from the very end, and so we learn. Let's say if I was about to back chain the entire piece, I'm learning the last bar 41. Then I'm learning how to play bar 40, connecting it to 41. Then bar 39, all the way out to 41. And that's how I structured the tutorials even. But also I divided for us like fiddle tune players. I divided into 4 parts and 4 different tutorials. So it's basically the first tutorial is teaching bar 1 to 10 using back chaining and some other techniques, and also one thing that was really helpful this time when doing it, I also added like chord marks to the piece, even though it's a solo piece and it's not meant to be backed up by another instrument, but there's a lot of like arpeggiated chords.
Yeah.
So, and I for myself, I find it very helpful. Well, being a folk, bluegrass, and jazz player, I'm used to think in terms of chords. So I think my notation of it is unique in that way, and I think it will suit other people with the chord way of thinking.
I love that, man. Like, I remember, I mean, you probably did this in music school too, like score analysis, right? Where you would have to take a score and write out the, like maybe it was like a 4-part, like, or, like a quartet or something, but you'd have to write out the chord inversions and all this stuff. But that, to me, that helped the form and the kind of vibe of the piece stick in my mind, right? To kind of be able to associate harmonies with certain sections and stuff like that. So maybe
exactly
is that some of the mentality behind this too? Like maybe it'll help you remember the piece better, right?
And I think it's for some people it will, especially for us that have trained that way of approaching music. I think many I can just see that probably I'm guessing now, but let's say 8 out of 10 cello students who have played this piece don't have an idea what a chord sequence looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, we're probably thinking of other things. Also, maybe things that I'm missing. But, but I guess my big point is the tutorials are specifically for folk, bluegrass, and jazz players, basically, rather than for pure classical players.
Definitely.
Is it a good time to actually play back a little bit of?
I was actually just going to ask if I could hear some of this. So perfect.
Please, yeah. I'm now actually playing through the entire arrangement, and by the way, you know that we are releasing a video version of this podcast also inside the Mandolin Secrets Academy and Guitar Club, and I don't dare to put out the video with me playing this video yet, because I'm on YouTube or anything. So this is, you don't find it in another place. That's my point. So, but here's at least my take of it. Like that. Yes, there is it. So it's
well
the
done,
first.
my friend. Great performance.
Thank you. It's the first cello suite by Johann Sebastian Bach, and this is the prelude. And I also, there's some other like classical music I've been playing, and it is actually, it feels really good to play this music. I think it's something else I heard people are recommending listening to classical music for the benefits of how it's relaxing sort of kind of thing. And I would say I'm getting the effect out of playing it even. It's been...
It makes sense, you know? It's all about tension release and tension resolution kind of thing. So there's this to me, that would put you in a relaxing state to hear a little bit. You hear those diminished runs ascending and then it lands on a one chord, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. So, well, just to wrap that thing up, it's more classical music coming from me here in the near future, because right now I'm very much into it.
Yeah, man. Well, I think we could all use a little bit more classical mandolin work, so I look forward to that.
Cool. And if anyone want to check out the tutorials, you find it in the Academy. So we had another question to the community, and it was framed this way. Do you attend music camps? If so, which ones? While I'm getting the responses from the community, what about you, Hayes? Do you attend camps?
Absolutely. These days, I'm attending them more as an instructor, but this past year, I did 6 music camps this past year. So what did I start out with? Idaho Bluegrass and Banjo Camp. Got to give them a shout out. Ashokan Western and Swing Week in upstate New York. The Grenna Bluegrass Academy in Sweden. Magnus and I had that one together. I'm forgetting other ones. What am I forgetting here? Because there were 3 more. But I just got done with Great Lakes Music Camp last week in Michigan, which is the one that I've been attending the longest.
There's a swing one, right?
Yeah, Ashokan Western and Swing Week in upstate New York.
That's a show. Okay,
yeah.
Sorry.
And then, it'll come back to me which other ones. There were so many. Oh, Steve Kaufman's acoustic camp. Duh, how could I forget Steve's camp? So, there were lots of camps this year, and I love it, man. I think it's a great way to just interact with the community. I always come away learning something new, even as an instructor at these things. To me, honestly, Grenna was an amazing highlight this year, just because I've visited you multiple times and we've definitely hung out with bluegrassers and stuff in Sweden, but just to see the genuine interest and passion that people have for bluegrass music and the instruments over in Sweden was really exciting to me.
Yes, I totally agree. And that is also actually one, so reading a few of the comments from the community, Steve, he says he was in Grenna Bluegrass Festival with the 2 of us, had a fun time there. Brendan says he's like joining some mandolin retreats, which is a kind of new way of kind of camps, doing these retreats. It sounds fancy and
exactly. It's like more posh, right? Yeah.
but he's been to Simon Mayer's mandolin retreat, and
cool.
also Mike Marshall and Katerina Lichtenberg's mandolin retreats in Italy twice.
Wow.
And also like when there are these cruises, Session and Sail Americana cruise.
That sounds
fun. Yeah. Lindy Wernick method camps in New York City. Tim was lucky to attend Abby Avital workshop in Berlin.
Wow.
Oh, planning to go to Carlo Alonso's Winter Academy 2025. That's probably like in Europe then.
I was going to say, and if you're a fan of classical music like Magnus just played, those 2 would probably be some very good camps to check out, Avi and Carlo. Yeah.
I should mention Avi Avital also, that I've listened a lot to his take on the Cello Suite. That's the recorded one on the mandolin that I find most appealing to me.
He has I think he's one of the modern greats of the classical mandolin. Like, obviously he is,
very much. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Dale says he met a lark camp in Redwood Forest. Alan's Desert Night Acoustic Music Camp. That is in Kingston. NM, help me. What is that?
New Mexico.
New Mexico it is.
Yeah.
Desert Night Acoustic Music Camp. Well, Gale, Montana Fiddle Camp early in June. Well, a lot of camps, of course, everywhere. And I can't highly, I can't recommend enough attending music camps for people in this community. My experience is people are always like friendly and welcome at these camps, and I never met like people being elitistic or it's very including kind of community.
Absolutely. My experience as well. I've never met any kind of, like you said, elitists or like any of that stuff at camps. It's all about creating a welcoming atmosphere so that people, because a lot of times people feel intimidated to go to a jam or to go to a local session, right? So a camp is a good way to kind of like put the training wheels on, right? Like, and go and like kind of see what the rules of engagement are and learn the skills that you need.
And most often also, if there's a camp and there are some instructors or teachers, they are used to guiding people at different stages and all that.
Yes.
So it's I would say like anyone in this community are ready to go to a camp.
Yes.
It's not like we have to prepare ourselves for the camp. It's about going there, and when we are there, we kind of know like what we want to prepare for next year or anything like that. So
exactly.
It's a very, very, very good way to get into the music community by hanging out a few days with some good people at a camp.
Totally agree with that, man. Yeah, that's the perfect way to think about it.
Yes. We've like been going through the big topics we had for this podcast episode, like tabs, notation, we talked about that, playing by ear, music camps, the anniversary of the academy. We played back a little bit of the new classical mandolin lessons. So I'm pretty ready to wrap things up. Anything you want to add, Hayes, before like closing?
I just want to say a huge congratulations to you again, dude, for the 5-year anniversary of Mandolin Secrets Academy. That's huge. And I know for a fact that it's helped out hundreds of mandolin players because I see them at festivals and camps all over the place. You don't know how many times I was stopped at IBMA and the festivals that I was at this year, and they're like, you're the guy that's on Mandolin Secrets. so like your channel has definitely had a positive impact on the mandolin community, and you deserve a lot of congratulations, buddy.
Thanks. Thank you. That means a lot. And I also think, well, if we made it for 5 years, I'm pretty sure we're going to be here for the decades to come. So this is only the start.
I look forward to the 10-year podcast episode.
Yes. Before it's sooner than we know.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like my English is not fast and quick enough today. I'm not spending
it's been
enough
6
time
weeks or something since we've had a conversation, you know?
Yes. I feel like I'm not really catching up today. But anyway, thank you everyone for listening. And if you want to check out our previous episodes, head over to our website. It's mandolinsecrets.com/podcast. Also, there's a video version inside the academy. And, well, that's pretty much it. So, leaving you with the last words, my friends, always remember, be a music maker.